Okay. So we've got this 49 plus 23. How are we going to deal with this? Like, you could take a whole bunch of different angles with this, right? This isn't necessarily like your number line, because you're not going to draw a number line with 100 numbers on it, right? So we're going to have like kind of a different attack angle for this, right? You can do one of two things. I'd imagine some of you have seen this before, where we write the two numbers on top of one another, right? We could do this. This is totally okay, right? And then we just add in columns, okay? So, but every time you go over 10, you got to carry the 1, okay? So 9 plus 3 here, that's going to be 12, but I can't write 12. I got to carry the 1 up to the top, right? Right? And then you can go 1 plus 4 plus 2. So 1 plus 4 is 5, plus 2 should be 72. Okay? Does anybody else have a different attack with this? Yes. Anything? Yes.
I know because I have one in school. She breaks down the tens, so you add the 40 and the 20 equals the 60, and then you add the 9 plus the 3 is 12, and then you do 60 plus 10 plus 2, and then you're only dealing with 10 numbers, and those are super easy to use.
Huh?
That's what I did.
That's good.
I did 40 to 20, you got 60, and then 9 to 3, it got 12, and then added those together, it's 72.
That's like, in reality, you probably, like, if somebody asks you to do those two things on the spot, you're not going to have a piece of paper to pull out and just write it down, right? This is more the mental side of things, right? That's a desirable skill, right? To be able to like do things like that on the spot. Just breaking it down into its pieces, right? All we've done is we know this is in the 40s. You can break it down into 40 plus 9. And then the second one, actually, you could turn this into one of your statements from earlier. You can go 40 plus 9 plus 20 plus 3. And then all you're doing is just, you're doing the stuff that's easiest together, you know? Is that okay? The bigger the numbers get, the same principle is going to apply, right? It doesn't matter what I write down there. You're just going to go, you're just going to break it into its components. So like hundreds, tens, or ones, right? We could do that with like the big base 10 material too, if we wanted to. Okay, where we have like big squares, and then we have the rods, and then we have the individual ones. We could break it down, but again, you're not going to have those if somebody asks you to add those two things together or something, right? Makes sense? This is it's a little fast way. We can try a couple more of those at whatever. I can write some on the board later, and we can try a couple more, okay? That's a good skill, to be able to do stuff quick like that, but it's a strategy. It's not even necessarily a skill. It's just you're not necessarily good or bad at that. You just haven't been shown the trick, right? To break it down mentally. That's all. Okay. Everybody okay? Okay. What I want to do now is, like, we're going to do this 3-act task thing, right? So the way these work is there's 3 acts. The first one kind of proposes a question, right? And what I want you guys to write in the little T-chart there is things that you notice, and then things that you wonder, and then we'll talk about them, okay? I'll record what you notice, and then we can discuss together as a class the things that we want to know more of, like kind of what you guys did here with the questions on the sideboard, right? That's kind of what this is. What is an integer? What is a sum? Can we borrow 6? Like those sorts of questions, right? That's what you're going to put under your wonder column relative to what you're about to watch. Okay, so let me just try and pull it. I don't know if this is going to let me click the link. No, it's not, because it's in. Okay, let me pull it up. And these aren't they're not long videos per se. Like, it might be 15 seconds. It proposes like a question. And then you guys have to like think about it, you know? Oh, I don't want one, I want 2. Okay. So here's Act 1, okay? I'll push play, we'll talk about it, and then we'll watch Act 2, and then we'll watch Act 3. Act 3 is typically the answer. Okay, so you kind of have like Act 1 poses the question. You guys think about what you need to know in order to answer the question. Act 2 is kind of always kind of the work. How are they doing? Whatever. How are we arriving at the answer? And then Act 3 is always the answer kind of thing. That's a 3-act task, okay? So these could take, depending on what it is we're doing at any given time, there's all sorts of these. These could take anywhere from 5 minutes to 30 minutes, right? Depending on how interesting the question is, right? So this one is kind of cool, okay? So here are your, there's not even that much audio either. Okay, there's like a mini bear. There's kind of a regular bear for reference, like in terms of size, okay? And there's that super bear. Okay? Now, what I want you guys to do, on your piece of paper in your flow chart there, or your T chart, I want you guys to like write down some stuff that you notice and then some things that you wonder. And take a couple minutes, and then we'll talk about what you noticed and what you wondered. There's probably a whole bunch of similarities between all of you, right? And then ultimately there'll be we'll come up with a question as to like what it is we're trying to do, okay? Just take a couple minutes, just try and fill out the T-table of things that you see. Typically, whatever you guys come up with are wonderings. Those are kind of questions that we could answer, right? Which is why it's with 16 people in the room, there's probably going to be similarities in your questions, right? Or things that you're kind of wondering about. But there might be that odd one or two that stand out that's worth investigating. You know what I mean? With good questions. Right? I'm just thinking like, here, I'll put the picture back up so you guys can see it. So you can come up with a list of wonders. Okay. Do we have? Let's fill out the notices. What do you guys notice? You guys can just yell them out too, and I'll write them down. Yeah.
Mini and regular bear aren't that far off up inside.
Right. Okay. Good. So the regular bear. Oh boy. And mini bear aren't okay. That's a good one. What else? Color differences. Okay.
Just one, the big bear kind of looks like black, and the other two are like bright colors.
Yeah. I think it's like a. What would that have to do with? You think?
The amount of like the gelatin and the colors.
So we have like did you take science? Oh, okay. Do we have a term for like that? It's kind of like it's okay. It's not really. They're all consistent, but it's the density, right? Consistency or density, right? It's the light, because that's so much wider. The light can't get through it. You know what I mean? Which is why it looks so dark. Right? You can see up in his ears there. Oops. It's a little bit lighter, right? Because it's not the amount of gummy there isn't as big. Right? So the density wasn't necessarily the term. It's all like a consistent density, but It's not as thick, so the light can't get through it. Okay, so that's why you're seeing that really dark color there. Okay, so there's some color differences. What else? You could even like,
The big gummy is absolutely gargantuan compared to the little ones.
it is very big. It's huge, right?
There's no medium there.
No medium bear. Okay, that's fine. Her, let's write super gummy is huge. What was the other one? Sorry.
There's no medium size.
No medium size. Oh my goodness, we're struggling today. Okay. Can you make like a? Can you make a? No, let's stay on the I notice. I'm kind of dancing between the two with the next question that I was about to say. Is there anything else?
You could eat one way and the other one you can't.
Okay. So the little ones are bite-sized?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. I'm out of room. So let's do the what do you wonder? Let's just wonder like what are some wonderings with the big one, yeah. Okay. Cost of the blue bear. That's a good wonder. Okay. Yes.
How long did it take them to make?
How long to make? Do you think it's longer for the big one or longer for the little ones? Okay. Okay. How long to make each? Yeah.
What each bear weighs and what their calorie density is.
Okay. How much? How much does each bear weigh?
By the way, you can buy those online.
You can, yeah. It's kind. Oh, you guys can't even see. You guys. So if I'm right, you guys can't see. Let me know, okay? I'm just not paying attention. Okay. How much does each bear weigh? And a sub question was, what's the calorie content? You said.
Calorie density, or like how many calories per bear.
Okay, we'll say what's the calorie content? Anything else? Are we dry out of questions? If we think of more, we can come back too. Okay, these are all like worth answering. And ultimately, I think that like you guys are on the right track. I think you're kind of getting what we're trying to do here with these 3 act tasks, right? We're going to try and answer some of these questions, right? So if you wanted enough mini bears to match the super bear, how many would it take, you think? If you had to take a guess, so let's pull it up again, right? So we'll look at it. Okay. How many mini ones do you think are gonna like equal one big one? How many? It's kind of a cool question, actually. Yes. Oh, you're stretching. Okay. If you had to take a guess.
800.
Okay, it's 800 is probably a fine yes, actually. All right. Seems like a huge number, but does anybody else have any others?
10,000.
10,000. Okay. 1,000. 100? I'll write down 100 too, and we'll see. Okay. What about if you had to like guess between like the mini and regular, do you think the numbers for regular are going to be bigger or smaller than the mini ones? In other words, is it going to take more or less regular gummy bears to equal one big one?
More mini,
What's that?
more mini, like it would take more mini bears than it would regular sized bears to make up the entirety of the thing.
Right, because the mini ones are smaller, right?
So 800, I would say regular bears. Oh, are we doing?
Yeah, we can guess. Now let's take a guess if you were trying to make the big one out of the regular sized bears.
Oh, that was mini bears.
Yeah, that was mini bears.
Oh, like 900 then.
Oh, you want 900?
900 mini bears, like 800 regular ones.
Okay,
like
so
700.
does anybody else have a guess?
7,000.
70 what?
7,000.
7,000. Okay. Okay, is that like a good start? Do we have it like, I don't know, you want to write down 50? Okay. It's good to have a high end answer and a low end. It's like Price is Right. Somebody's got to be right or closest. Can't go over though. Right? So, let's go down. Let's just talk about like the kind of information that we're going to need in order to solve this. Okay? What information might you need in order to answer, like, I think ultimately what we kind of want to guess is how many little mini bears versus regular bears are going to equal the big bear, right? So those, like, what information are we going to need in order to answer those questions? Yeah.
How many grams?
Okay.
Bear is
So maybe we could have information on the weight, right? Like how much does each bear weigh? Anything else? Height, that's fine, yeah. What was it, sorry? Price, yeah. What about like when you guys go to, does anybody shop at Costco? Yes?
How dense the big one is?
How dense the big one? That's, maybe the density's different. That's very good. In which case, like you'd have to like, there'd have to be more of the mini ones if it was more dense, if the big one was more dense, right? You'd have to have more gummy bears. It's good. Does anybody, okay, so my point, okay, before, that was a good point. Does anybody shop at Costco?
Yes.
What is the principal concept of Costco? Oh, well, like size, like package wise, like what, like if
buying in bulk.
buying in bulk, right? So like buying more
for,
than
like,
maybe
similar or lower.
similar or lower price, right? So you're getting, what are like the phrase is like you get more bang for your buck sort of thing, right? So what if we knew like how many bears were in each package or something?
Well, it already says lower on, but yeah.
Oh, I know lower on, I know, we're not there yet. Going top to bottom. Like how many? Okay. So now I want to put on, yes?
How do the regular and small bears compare in like weight? Like that would be in weight, but I mean also like. What? No, like. How many big bear or how many mini bears goes into one regular bear? Is it like 1.5 or is it half or like how many?
I see. Okay, I guess, okay, I see, like, you're talking like maybe a volume, right? Volume would be like how big something is, right? So if we compared the two volumes, then we could see how many little ones go into the big one, right? So we could put that in our, like, we could say volume of each bear. Okay? Now, it's at this stage with these things. Once we kind of like come up with the stuff that we need to know, let's watch Act 2 and see what it is they give us. Okay. So let's go. We'll go back here. We'll scroll down. Okay, and we'll push play on Act 2. So what is that thing they're putting the gummy bears on? It's a scale, yeah. So we're trying to measure the weight, okay? So okay, has anyone ever used one of these scales like for themselves to stand on? Or or you guys use the digital ones? These things, the way they work is you push the different weights out to the further out, and then you can read off, like most doctors' offices have them, right? If you've ever been to the doctor and they take your weight. What they've done there, they've put 10 bears on the scale, and then they've moved the weight across to find out that 10 bears weighs 23.1 grams. Okay, so now we know, like, for every 10 regular bears that I put, like, relative to the big one, I know that the weight is 23.1 grams for every 10 regular bears. Okay, so if I were to, we could do this. So most of you identified the weight, right? Let's just say, for argumentative sake, there's no real like number here yet. We haven't started dealing with the real numbers, but let's just say I'll do the big bear in blue. Okay, let's say the big bear in blue is over here at some weight, but we find out that one bear maybe weighs something like over here. Oh, sorry. So ever see the big, so like you could draw a dot representing the big blue bear, right? And then the weight of one gummy bear might be over here. Your question is like, how many gummy bears do I need to land here? Regular bears, say. What could you do? Let's just say, like, I don't know, every one of these lines represented 10 gummy bears. 10 gummy bears of weight. Well, why couldn't I take this and multiply it by some number? Right? 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90. So in theory, just purely making up numbers, if I took the one gummy bear's weight and I multiplied it by 90, it would give me the big gummy bear's weight. Therefore, we could say 90 gummy bears is equal to the one big one, one super bear. Does that make sense? So that's kind of one way to do it, which is fine. The other thing you could kind of do is if like a volume, if it told you the volume, same idea though, right? You could look at the relative volume of each of them, and let's say the bear was over here this time, the big super bear, right, in terms of volume, and the volume of the mini bear might be something like this, or the regular bear. Same idea. You could just multiply it by a number. It would spit out the big, well, multiply it by the number until you got to the big super bear's size, right? Then you know that's how many bears go into it. Does that make sense? So we can do it with weight. You can do it volume. Okay? That's going to lead us into the last part here. Is everybody okay? So, here we've got two pieces of number in the two pictures, and your bottom picture probably isn't the greatest, so that's what it should look like, okay? Just the shading on it wasn't great. Okay. So in the top left picture, we have our mini bears. Okay. One pack of mini bears is equal to $6.99. Okay. There's a piece of information that I don't think you guys can see in your picture that I have on mine. Okay, and we'll highlight that in a sec. Okay.
You can't see how many grams in the bag.
You can't see that either?
No.
Okay, so the idea, and they've taken a different approach with this question. So you can 100% do this with weight, 100%, right? If you knew the weight of the big bear, it's 100% a method. I don't, in my picture, see anywhere where they've told us how much one big bear weighs. But in my picture, they do say, and you guys can write this on top, you could say, it does say, it's a 5-pound bear. 5-pound bear. Okay, so the big one is equal to 1,400 regular size bears. Okay, so that's a piece of information that you guys can't necessarily see in your picture. Okay, that's the photocopier spot. Made the picture too dark. Okay, 1,400 regular size bears. So, your question is, you want to go to like, I don't know, your decision is like, I want to get as much gummy bear as I possibly can. Do I buy the big one or do I buy like a multiple packs of the regular size ones? That's the question. Can you guys see the price of the blueberry, like the big bear?
Yeah, $29.95.
Okay, $29.95, okay? Your question is it better for me to buy the big bear or is it better for me to buy multiple bags of the little ones or the regular size ones, sorry? Okay, the ones on the right. That's your question. How are we going to do that? Yes.
Using division, like you would take 1,400 and divide it by the amount of bears.
Okay.
Bag, and then you get the amount of like in the bag, and then you multiply the price by how many bags that you need to fill up the 1,400.
Okay.
And then depending on which one is more price efficient.
Right. Okay. So, okay. I like your use of the word here. We're going to say this here. Okay. You're going to say which one is more price efficient. Okay. That's your question. Which one are you going to get more bang for your buck? Are you going to go to Costco and buy the big bear, or are you going to go to Walmart or something and buy a whole bunch of the little bags? That's your question. Right. So we're going to do something. We need to figure out how much each bear is technically costing. Okay, that's what we call like a unit price. Okay, so it's a little bit easier to see in the bags, okay? Because the bags tell us here's what you got. And the use of units, I know you guys have have you ever used like units like meters and centimeters and things like that? But they haven't necessarily meant anything aside from like centimeters, so like visually what it is. Units here, when you start mixing units, now the units tell a story, right? They tell you when you do something to them, the numbers, either multiplying or dividing, it tells you a story. So let's take 500 and, here, I'll write in a different color. I'm going to do basically what we call a unit price. Okay, you put that in quotation marks. For the regular bears. Okay, so I'm going to take, all you want to know is how much does one bear cost me in that bag, right? That's what you want to know. How much? Is it 10 cents? Is it 15 cents? Is it $2? You don't know. We're going to find out, right? You're going to compare that against how much the Big Bear would cost you per unit price. Then you can make a decision as to which buy is better. So to do that, you can take the number of bears that you see in the bag, 587. How much is it going to cost you?
$9.
Okay, yeah, you could even use $9, okay? Now, remember what you want to know. You want to know dollars per bear. That's what you want to know. How much is it going to cost me per bear? So, if I see the word per, does anybody know what the slash means? In terms of mathematics? This means division. Okay, the slash, or the word, here's another word. The word per means division. If you see dollar per bear, something like that's how that reads. Okay? So you're going to do exactly what it tells you to do. You're going to take dollars, per means division, divided by the number of bears. $8.99, or $9 if you want. You don't even have to use the $8.99. We're going to go $9 divided by how many bears? 587. Okay, does anybody have that number for me? I can't do that. I'm not magic. That's a hard one to do. Did everybody see what we did? We took how much is the bag going to cost me? And how many gummy bears do I get? It's going to tell you how much it costs you per gummy bear in that pack, right? Which is useful information when trying to compare prices, or which is the better buy. Okay. So all you're going to do is 9 divided by 587. What do we get?
Like 1.5 cents per bear, or
Yeah.
I was just checking it by
This-
putting in the amount of cents per bear and then timesing it by how many bears there is, 587, and then checking it if it's close to 800 or $9.99.
$9, right?
Yeah.
So that's the exact opposite. So that's what we're getting at with the division versus multiplication, is the exact opposite, right?
Well, I wasn't sure if it
Yeah.
was correct, so I
Yeah.
multiplied it and checked it.
That's how you would check, right? You can always check things by doing the opposite process to see if you got the original answer back, right? So I don't think we necessarily actually come to the conclusion of what that means yet. Okay, remember, how many cents, how many like pennies are in $1? 100. Okay, so there's 100 cents in $1. Okay, how would I interpret this answer? Like if I wrote, what does 1 cent look like in dollars? Does anybody know?
1/100.
Yeah, okay, that's using some lingo, yeah. So it's like, it looks like this. So on a cash register or something like that, if you went into, I don't know, Circle K or something, I don't know if Circle K sells penny candies, yes?
Wouldn't it be like
0.1 would look like, 0.1 would be 10 cents. That would be like 10 penny candies. 0.01 would equal 1 cent, which we don't even do anymore. Okay? So our answer looks pretty close to this. It's basically, to be really, really exact, it's 1.5 cents per bear. You could kind of almost call it 2 cents per bear. Right? It's pretty close to 0.02 if you rounded it. Okay? So that's where we're at. we're at $0.2 per bear almost in that package. That tells you whether or not it's a good deal or not, right? Is one gummy bear worth 2 cents to you? Every time you eat a gummy bear, it's going to cost you 2 cents. Is it worth it?
Yeah.
Maybe to some, I don't know. Okay. Is it better? Here's your question. Ultimately, the question was, is it better to buy the package of gummy bears or is it better to buy the big one? Yes.
Well,
Do you have the work? I'm assuming you have the answer, but what work would we do to get that to arrive at a conclusion?
Well, for the Haribo Gold Bears, the regular ones, I got 1.522 cents per bear.
Yes.
And then on the Haribo Gold Bear minis, I got 1.9986, so I rounded up to 2 cents. So like per bear, you're getting a bigger bear, and for less if you buy the big pack.
Right. Okay. So let's actually like do the calculation though. Okay.
Well, I divided the price.
Yeah, yeah.
I did 9, and then I put that in cents. I did 900 divided by 587, and then each one was, yeah, and then it just gives you a value, and then that gives you the price per bear.
Okay. That's it. Okay. So it's actually the exact same calculation. We just have bigger numbers this time. Right? I have my price is $29.95 for the big bear, right? And how many regular sized bears did it say it fit into? Yeah, 1,400 regular bears fit into that. So remember, I'm trying to figure out $1 per bear. That's how much I want to know, right? So you're just going to divide those two numbers. So 1,400 divided by, oh, sorry, the other way around. 29.95 divided by 1,400. 0.021. That's dollars per bear, which is 2.1 cents per bear. Which is the better buy?
The Haribo Gold Bears regular.
Look at the price up here for the regular bears in the bag. You're paying 1.5 cents per bear
Rather than 2.1.
rather than 2.1 cents per bear in the big one. So buying the bag actually gets you more gummy bears for cheaper. Or
I mean,
same amount for cheaper.
Haribo's also has different flavors in the bag, so
True. Yeah.
you
yeah.
might add a subtract value for that.
True. Okay. Does anybody have any questions? The nice thing is, when you guys go to like Walmart, I don't think Costco's as good at it. Although in theory they should be. When you guys go to somewhere like Walmart and at Food Basics, when I worked at Food Basics, on the shelf underneath the price tag, it tells you a unit price. You don't have any thinking to do. It tells you how much something is per gram or per milliliter. It tells you the price. So you don't have any thinking to do. So then you can compare that against somewhere like Costco. So you can make a decision, oh, it's cheaper here for me to get milk here versus at Costco because it's the unit price is less. Does that make sense? Okay.
I like to make it difficult on you. Change the unit measurement.
Yes.
You have to convert it.
You have to convert it, yeah.
That you've got it.
That's the idea. The idea is what's the better buy is the idea. Sometimes Costco is the better buy if you can eat it all. You know what I mean? But it's not all the time.
You might be sick after 3 bites if you eat the big bear, and it'll last you much longer than eating little tiny ones.
Maybe, yeah. But Costco banks on, this is what I mean. I'm trying to give you guys skills such that like you can inform yourselves later on down the road when you're buying groceries for yourself. What's the better buy so you can save money, right? Costco is banking on the fact that you guys don't do this calculation and you just buy it because you think it's a better deal. that's a part of their like business model, right? Kind of a one-stop shop, buy it all. They're not banking on you going from Costco to Walmart to buy it somewhere else for cheaper, right? Does that make sense? All adds up.